Louisa.
Yes, hello, good morning to you from the port of Felixstowe. Now, the chances are that everything you're wearing today, your clothes, your shoes, a lot of what you're going to eat, your iPod, for example, have all come into the UK in a container on one of these huge container ships here. And the port of Felixstowe is the largest UK container port. Now, it actually handles 40% of all container trade. That's 3 million containers every year, and that's enough to keep 4,000 lorries busy here every single day. Well, let's find out a little bit more from Paul Davey from Felixstowe Port. Now, Paul, just explain to us what's happening at the moment, because it's just so busy here.
Well, we've got a ship in here, the SCI New Delhi. She's come from the Indian subcontinent. She's currently unloading, so she's discharging containers here, which are being transferred into the container stacks behind us. She'll also load some containers for export, and when we finish that, she'll be on her way back to the Indian subcontinent.
And this port is absolutely vast.
Yeah, we've got one Trinity terminal here. What we've got is we've got about 2.7 kilometres of quay here. We have 27 of the huge container cranes, and it's where the majority of the container traffic's handled in Felixstowe.
And just this quay side is how long?
It's 2.7 kilometres of quay. It's dredged down to a depth alongside about 15 metres, which allows us to berth some of the biggest container ships in the world here in Felixstowe.
Obviously incredibly important for the national economy at a port like this, but what about the local economy as well?
Well, it's a major driver for the local economy. We employ about 2,500 people directly within the port, and there's probably another 10,000 people who are employed in ancillary industries, in haulage, shipping, forwarding, customs, etc., based in and around the port here.
What are the sort of pressures that you experience at a port like this?
There's a lot of pressure on us, but particularly pressure to minimise the impact we have on local community, on traffic, and of course when we're developing ports, to minimise the impact we have on the environment locally as well.
OK, Paul Davey, thank you very much indeed. Well, from talking about huge container ships, we're now going to talk about small sailing boats, because the boat building industry has created thousands of jobs on the south coast of England. But what has the impact been of the recession? Well, my colleague Roger Johnson is on the Isle of Wight for us now. Roger.
Louisa, it's the fourth day of the annual Cowes Week regatta here. As you can see, loads of boats all in the marina here at Cowes. And when you think each one of these is actually equivalent to the cost of a small house, to be honest, it gives you some idea of the sort of value of the boats which are here. But you're quite right, it's a huge industry in this part of the world. About 35,000 people employed in the marine industry, but over the course of the recession, year on year, more than half of the people involved are saying that they're seeing their turnover going down at the moment, with the fact that that the economy has been shrinking in the teeth of the credit crunch. It's a real problem for them. Having said that, there are some chinks of light. Different parts of the industry are doing well. The boat yards, for example, which service and repair many of these boats, are actually doing a good trade at the moment. They're doing some decent business, because people, rather than trading up, rather than getting a new boat, are actually choosing to hold on and repair the boats that they already have. Because of the situation with the pound, the exchange rate, lots of people getting more for their money by coming from abroad to buy their boats here, to get their boats serviced. So we're seeing people from overseas coming to put money into the British boat building industry, which is obviously fantastic news for them as well. There are some chinks of light, if you like, coming through what is a very grey sky here at Cowes today. This event itself is one of the biggest regattas in the world. It's more than 8,000 people are sailing here on about 800 boats this year. For the first time in 15 years, there is no title sponsor for Cowes Week. They came to the end of a long-standing sponsorship last year and have been unable, as yet, to find a successor to take over and become the title sponsor, which clearly has given them a problem. It's left them with a gap in their budgets of more than £1 million, and they're trying very hard to get someone in place for next year. But obviously, in the teeth of a recession, it's a difficult sell to try and get sponsors on board for what is a relatively expensive sponsorship at £1 million a year for a week's event. However, they're confident that they'll get somebody in place for next year's event. The thoughts are that slowly but surely this marine industry, the boat building industry, is starting to come out. There is a bit of an upturn, and although they're not expecting a V-shaped recovery, there is talk that things are slowly getting better. It may take a few years before we get back to the situation with the industry that we were in a couple of years ago, but the green shoots of recovery are just about slowly starting to come, and as I said, some parts of the industry bearing up better than others.
OK, Roger Johnson in Cowes and Louisa Baldini there in Felix.